Welcome back to another episode of Lone Star College Football. Today we've got the question that's kind of been on Twitter here recently, and it's is Coach Sark on the hot seat? Uh, Before we get into that, just do us a favor and like the video and subscribe to the channel. We are at 80 subscribers. We want to reach 100 before the end of the season. We do have a giveaway when we reach that mark, so that would be really appreciated. That being said, Coach Sark is now 6-4 on the season after going 5-7 last year. A lot of people are starting to question if he is in trouble of losing his job. And I think most of the people talking about it are on the outside looking in. I see a lot of it from A&M, who honestly I think is just trying to find anything to not focus on their own program. Oklahoma, a lot of their fans, I'm seeing it on Twitter, which I think, to be fair, they're kind of in the same boat where they don't want to focus on them and Brent Venables underperforming pretty heavily. And actually TCU fans who finally have another good year for the first time in almost a decade, and they want to talk their smack. But that's okay. We're Texas. We're used to it. We can handle it. Sark is not on the hot seat. I don't think so. I think we gave Charlie Strong 4 years and we gave Herman 4 years, but after 1 year and 3 quarters, we're ready to call it quits with Sark. I don't see that happening. If you're on the outside looking in, I can see where y'all would think that. But as somebody who's actually watched pretty much every single play of football that the Longhorns have done for the whole 4 years of Herman, at least half of Strong, and now of Sark, I've seen it all. I've watched all the games. If I couldn't catch it live, I'll record it, watch it later. This team is not the same team. Like people get this idea that you are what your record says you are, and sometimes that's true. Sometimes that is true, but I don't think that's always true, especially in a league like the Big 12 where any team can lose to any team almost for no reason. You see, if you watch the NFL, you can see the Cowboys could be good, which they're usually not. But say the Cowboys are good and the Eagles were bad, they could still lose. It's a rivalry game. Now that's different because they're both rivals, and Texas isn't really considered. We don't consider most teams in the Big 12 to be our rival, but it's the same concept. Okay, you have Texas this year, who we lost to TCU by 7. Well, Kansas State is number 2 in the Big 12. Well, we beat them, but we lost to Oklahoma State. We lost to Tech this year. We beat them last year. We beat West Virginia, who's beaten Baylor and now Oklahoma. And so it's this kind of back and forth of beating a team that's supposed to be better and then going out the next week and losing to a team that's worse. So I don't think your record is always who you are, especially when you look at the fact that Texas has lost a lot of close one-possession games in the last 2 years. I would say that is a better way of defining who they are. They're a team that can't finish. I think you could say that. And, the record reflects that. But if you just say based on the record, you're not accurately depicting what is actually going on inside the system. But if you actually watch the games, you can say, hey, Coach Sark last year, you're the head coach, but you're also the offensive coordinator. So you don't give them too much credit on the defense. But Pete Kwiatkowski last year didn't do a great job. Okay. And now we bring in Gary Patterson, and our defense has improved a ton. And I think Gary Patterson probably gets a little bit more credit than is deserved. People forget he's an analyst. He's not technically a coach. Technically he's not allowed to actually coach the players. He's a scheme guy. He's an analyst. He looks at what the other team does and he says, this should work. And he's there for recruiting. I think he's got a really good talent in finding those hidden gems in the recruiting trail, but technically he's not a coach. So he probably gets more credit than he deserves because it was bad last year. He came in and now they seem to be better. People want to give him all the credit, which is fine. I'm really happy we have Gary Patterson, but the defense is in insanely improved from last year. The offense, we're not clicking on all cylinders very consistently at all. And there is a part where that's Sark. I'm not trying to say Sark isn't a problem, but I can't say that he's the problem. I mean, he does a lot as far as pre-game scheming of what like the opening script is going to look like. He does that really well. Didn't do it last week. But that's okay because we're trying to say Sark is the problem. Are we just not going to give Sonny Dykes and the whole TCU team credit for how they came out and played? It's just Sark. Sark is just the problem? No. The other team also prepared and played a heck of a game. I think Sark has some issues with, his all gas, no brakes saying that he doesn't really live by that. We'll go up by a lot and we'll hit the brakes pretty heavily. And, there's parts of it where if we're winning by 28 and he's throwing the ball and when throws a pick, you'd say, oh, well, you're an idiot. Just run the ball. But then when he runs the ball and the other team starts to get momentum and come back, we're like, oh, well, you're not really all gas. And so we as a fan base also have to realize we're coaches from the couch. Like we don't really know. We think we know a lot about football, but in all honesty, compared to these guys, we don't. People wanted Card to come in. I thought putting in Hudson Card last week would have been a pretty good idea. I thought we should have done it against Oklahoma State as well. But at the same time, Quinn Ewers is our guy. He's our guy next year. He needs this experience. And I think if giving up on Quinn, I hear people, oh, well, Arch Manning's coming in competing day one. Really? I mean, Quinn Ewers is a redshirt freshman. He took like 3 snaps last year for Ohio State, and he handed the ball off on all 3 of them. Like, as far as I'm concerned, he might as well just be a fresh. I mean, he was supposed to be a senior in high school last year. And so you're going to throw out this freshman to have another freshman come in and play? I mean, it'd be one thing if Quinn was a 3-star quarterback, and then you get Arch Manning. But Quinn, he's a highly talented quarterback. We gotta let him have time to grow. Sam Ehlinger in his first year wasn't very good. Colt McCoy struggled. Vince Young in his first year struggled. Colt McCoy's second year was really bad too. I think he was responsible for like 20 turnovers his second year. Give Quinn time. After next year, halfway through next year, if it's not working, we might need to try Arch Manning, but you can't just yank one freshman for another freshman, and then you do that, and then next year you're saying, oh, well, Sark can't get a quarterback. All that being said, I think our offense is functioning at a sometimes much higher rate than last year, and sometimes we are struggling big, and I think that has been an issue with this team for years, way before Sark got here. In the Herman, all throughout the Herman time, we've always had trouble finishing games. So to blame that on Sark is kind of ridiculous. He's still in the building process. I know nobody wants to hear that. I hate to say it, but he is, and we've got to give him time. I think we are going to the SEC in 2025. If we fire him and start a new head coach, I mean, we're likely to have a first-year head coach and going into 2025 or a second year, and I don't think that is a very good formula for the Longhorns to partake in. But with that being said, if y'all made it this far, I appreciate y'all. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Follow us also on TikTok. We are almost at 300 followers over there, and so we're trying to build that up and be able to do live streams. Appreciate y'all.